Cloaked in the shadows.
Okay, Amanda.
Okay, Andy.
What are we doing today?
It's cloaked in the shadows.
What is Cloaked in the Shadows?
Freedom for podcast where anything goes.
And it does. Episode number 24. And people are wondering, this is part two, Amanda, isn't it? Of an interview you've got, unfortunately, couldn't sit in on, actually. So, well, you were in character, weren't you? Is that fair enough?
I was dreaming.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense. Wondering what we're doing. We did I had a chat anyway. Wonderful Chelsey Turpening Coxsey here, and Chelsey, if people are wondering, is a dream analysis, and it was really interesting, man. This took a chat part two with us.
Yeah, it shows that there's a lot more to dream analysis than I thought.
Yeah, because part one of you, I'm not going to back just jet as part one. Part brilliant. This is only a very short part two, but there were several bits and pieces that came up, and it wasn't it. Like it was like I can't do an instrument talk about a 7-year-old son in this part who's just started doing his own dream analysis. Although why is Billy Trippin a Pennywise and bloody Stephen King's It? There's another game.
Not exactly childhood viewing, is it?
No.
From the person that used to sneak downstairs and watch like Nightmare on Elm Street behind the couch.
Yeah, but you done that in your nappies, weren't you? Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I used to.
Not in my nappies. I didn't wear nappies when I was about 8. That's all the ones we watched.
Well, I can remember running away from the Daleks with Louise. Just when I was about 6, 7, 7, looking at the TV, we used to hide on the couch. And sometimes you've got to do that sort of stuff, haven't you? But a son that I think he's 5 or something, I don't know where Pennywise has come. So, but also as well, we talked a lot about you saying, we talked a lot about Chelsea's debut book, forthcoming tool book as well about dream analysis and stuff, and it was. Yeah, I think you were quite regretful you couldn't come back to be in person for that interview, couldn't you? So I know you've talked to us since anyway. So, and we're probably going to do a follow-up podcast with us at some point. Close to the Shadow when book 2 and 3 come out. So then hopefully we'll get you onto that one, can't we? So,
yeah.
I know you guys go to that.
Enjoy.
See you after the podcast, won't we, Amanda? See you in a bit.
Cloaked in the shadows.
What made you want to do these as books then, first of all then?
Well, the books originally started out as my own therapeutical release and my own dream analysis journals, which were separate works at the time. So I was journaling my dreams for on and off for a couple years. And when I started going through my awakening, I was journaling almost every day. And I started noticing the patterns of like the internal family system and like the metaphysical aspects, even like the soul journey. And it really started to make a lot of sense to me. And then the creative portion of it, I call like my subconscious releasing, some internal healing, waking up to my humanity, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So when I put them all together, I was like, oh, this is definitely a book. And
best way. It's come naturally, hasn't it? Really, that's why. So you're not forced to now completely. So
that's right.
Yeah, I'm saying completely with that. Now, people look at your website. Obviously, there is 2 more books on the go, and obviously, Living Life Metaphorically, a journey to within, and Living Life Metaphorically, a journey to all realms. Now, obviously, the first one's got TBD on it, and the other one is 2024. But after what you just told me off mic, this might be a bit later than from what you told us, definitely so. But obviously, I know you're writing the third book at the moment, and the second one's pretty well done. So, you want to tell us about then how your approach has changed in these books and as you developed?
Well, so at this point, I've realized that each book is a different portion of chakra lessons or an evolution of higher consciousness or waking up. So the first one was more of the awakening phases. I feel though it is good, it is a bit immature in some concepts. The second book gets a lot deeper into it. So the first one I would say is like the root chakra through the solar plexus, and then we got like the heart chakra through the throat chakra, and then third eye to the crown. And they really do develop a maturity of spiritual concepts. I think my third book, I probably haven't really focused so much on the dreams aspect as I'm just really expressing the lessons of humanity and like the growth and maturity in that. But for me, it's a spiritual journey, which it can relate to the chakras or the idea of higher consciousness, the evolution of my own humanity. but I think it kind of works as this growing scale. And something I've always done was share my growing scale. I've always talked about, my beginning phases, my middle phases, and how I evolved, because I think at the end of the day, people shouldn't be worried about only sharing the best part of the end results. It is really about the lessons and the evolution of growth. And other people like to see that too. I think it's encouraging. I know a lot of people, some people really struggle with metaphysics, or they understand metaphysics, but they struggle in a society where they come off weird, or, it's not correct or right. But, it really is a soul journey for each of us individually. And so I would encourage anybody to write their stuff down, or however they creatively would express their growth, if it's through art, writing, or however we go about that. I think sometimes our subconsciousness looks for creative ways to express its voice, and the more we express it, the more it develops.
But what I do want to ask you about is, and we should talk about this, because you mentioned this in the part one, was about the consciousness collective. So we touched on that. So you tell us a little bit more about your consciousness collective.
Okay. Well, consciousness collectives, what I would say is an exterior layer of consciousness outside of our individual. And people talk about it as like society or in different concepts, but I don't think they realize how synchronitic we are with each other, and that we are experiencing this like walking out of our own internal front door into the world, right? And it really does come back to like studies of the pineal gland. I would have to say it's an antenna, or it's a front door. It is this thing that is, and people, I know Rick Strassman calls it like an antenna. So it's the best way, like going through radio channels, or, things can come in and we can go out. There's a lot going on. But Carl Jung speaks about it a lot too. Just not necessarily in the detail as we understand in modern day research and stuff. But he was one of the first that really was noticing it, pulling out the archetypes, which archetypes are quite interesting because they're really just spirits or entities or other souls. And I've seen a lot of archetypes come into dream analysis with my clients, and they're quirky, they stand out, they do exactly what their role is. Like, we've had the trickster, we've had Alice in Wonderland, we've had some really interesting ones, but they're all, at the end of the day, it's really interesting, but it seems like they're all trying to get our attention to wake up. So it's this idea that you're either in control of your system and you're aware of what's going on, or the mass collective is just going to be kind of taking you over if you realize it or not.
Yeah, no, I can sound same completely with that. How do you envisage yourself and your journey going then in the future? Do you have any sort of like directions you'd like to take it, or are you just going to let it go naturally?
I have a few goals. So I would love to continue getting into more Carl Jung or Jungian groups, because I love them, and I'm like, I want to be in that. But I also love hypnosis, and I want to get into hypnosis. And the demonology, I really love demonology. So I would like to get into shamanism practices a tad bit, and maybe just learn like how to do exorcisms. Not that I plan on doing them. I just think it's really good information.
Yeah.
And it really broadens some of the scales on the subconsciousness and the metaphysics. Plus, they teach a lot about healing and like a lot of other deep concepts. So I don't plan on ever stop writing, and I don't think I'll always be writing the same series. At some point, I really would like to get better at representing my work academically and not just creatively. So like, I'm currently working on a project right now where I take my dream analysis sessions, and I have the coach's notes where I'm jotting down information that's happening and going on in the sessions, to maybe use as a bird eye view later as like a published book for other people who are like, this is just the coach's notes of what goes on in dream analysis. You can take it however you want.
Yeah,
but there's a lot, and I'm kind of behind on it because there's so much going on. It kind of goes quicker than I am right now. But
I suppose it does really. When you're looking at it's like I said, in my case, Bill, when I started off writing, I never envisaged, like I'm a poet and I'm doing novels now. And you find sometimes, this applies to you as well, I think, is like when you started off like a baby steps, and it's kind of having to slowly took over your life, really, hasn't it? Without you even realizing, sometimes it creeps up things, spiritual groups. Like, Do you think any of your children will go into this sort of field? Do you reckon when they get older?
Yeah. It's funny because my oldest son is 4, or no, he's 5 now, and he talks to me about dreams, and and it's funny because like I don't pull it out of him or ask. He's just at an age where he dreams a lot, and kids will talk about their dreams, and he's talked about some really interesting things, like how he's a ghost at night and he can see his family sleeping in their beds. That's astral projecting. He's been beating up Pennywise, the clown from the It movie.
At that
Pennywise
age?
is
That's
yeah, Pennywise has been harassing him for about a year now, and we talk about that, tips and tricks on how he can be the winner in his dreams. But for me, it kind of gets real deep, and I don't share it like everything with him because he's so young. But it's the archetypes of even nightmares or horror stories are very interesting, and I realize that it is kind of a metaphysical, spiritual spirit itself too. So, and a lot of kids experience these things. It's just maybe as adults we're not always listening or understanding what they're actually trying to tell us in their own childlike way.
I've heard a theory about this in dreams as well, actually. I'm going to ask you this once when we wrap up. We'll wrap up after this one anyway. About past lives and stuff. And when you're born, your dreams, because you're right up to a certain age, you're dreaming a lot of past lives and stuff you've experienced before. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think people know what's really going on in a newborn's mind or their dreams. I think people make a lot of assumptions. I've heard that they'll experience maybe some of the daytime, or they don't dream at all until like the age of 3 or 4. I think the subconsciousness definitely is still developing, so that's probably where a lot of that comes from. But it's not black and white. There's a lot going on in the human mind. There were babies that are in the womb who are somehow learning to survive out of the womb while they're still in the womb. And that's a mystery or a phenomenon to, the medical society a little bit too. So at the end of the day, I was like, no, I think the brain is very interesting. When I was a little kid, I used to have dreams that I was a little boy drowning in a pond on a farm. And I would always hear my mother and my grandmother looking for me or calling my name, but they never found me. And it was like this intense one where I was just underneath the line of the water looking up, and I couldn't call out or get help, but it was very real. And it was a reoccurring dream for a long time too. But it changed its symbolism sometimes. It wasn't always on a farm. Sometimes it was physically in my current day grandmother's pool with my current day family trying to look for me. But I think either what it was the subconsciousness was trying to do a past life with the water, right? And the death that I had gone through. And it kept showing it in different ways, because I think at the end of the day, it wanted me to realize that I was the boy, and that was my mother and my grandmother looking for me in various symbolic ways.
Yeah, interesting stuff indeed. So, well, good luck anyway, Chelsea, with your future books and your practice, definitely. So, like I said to you off mic before, I'd love to get you on my other podcast, Spoken Label, in the future. So, we'll talk about that more anyway. Now, obviously, to wrap up then, I love this word, the hard sell. So, if people want to find out more about you, first of all, where do you recommend they go?
Just start with my website, and it kind of branches off into different directions from there, which is ChelseyTurpeningCoxsey.com. I'm not going to spell it because it's kind of long, but we could share it in a link maybe.
Yeah, I'll do the link for you, don't worry about that. And obviously your books and stuff, if people want to track down your books, then where do you recommend they go?
They're on Amazon. It's just the first one's out right now. Also, if anyone listening is a book formatter, reach out to me.
Yeah,
to help me get the last 2 out. They're ready to go. I just need to get them out. But yeah, they're on Amazon. They're good.
Cloaked in the shadows. I enjoyed listening back to that.
Yeah, I did as well. It's one of those ones where it's when you're dealing with different time zones and stuff. People have got all due respect. Sometimes it can be quite hard to pencil them in. And that was, if people were wondering, quite a late podcast to do. It was too late for you to sit in on, wasn't it? So, and by the end of it, I was getting quite tired as well. So, but no, it was excellent time. I really recommend you listen. Check out Chelsey, because she's done a number of other podcasts, and It's not hard to say. You may be talking to her again over a future project yourself, Amanda, haven't you? So, touch wood, so.
Yeah.
Well, that should be real in due course, so. Anyway, that been the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
What we're doing now?
Sleep tight, well.
Yeah. This is Cloaked in the Shadows. What is it?
Cloaking into the shadow.
Yeah. See you next time, folks.
Cloaked in the shadows.